I gotta wait. How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the share, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
I'm Dreme, a black woman with many beautiful interconnecting identities. A few I will name at this moment as we get started on this podcast journey together. A Bostonian, born and raised in the inner city, Dorchester and Roxbury neighborhoods, to a teenage single mother who has my whole heart. An educator, I've been working with youth and children since my teenage years, and formally, I have been teaching almost a decade now. That's wild to think about. An entrepreneur, I am the founder of The Chair, a black and brown centered tech platform dedicated to supporting people on their hair journey, where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a more joyous experience. I have a workable site, my prototype. It took me 2 years to build, and now I'm on this adventure that you're currently on with me. My goal for this podcast is to share stories, black stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and hair stories. I want you to leave each episode with the opportunity to gain new insight, just a glimpse into my world or the worlds that are featured on my podcasts, a little chuckle during your day or night, possibly a little anger to encourage you to advocate for justice, and hope to continue learning and dreaming. So come in and listen to the beautiful voices in the chair as they share their stories, starting with me.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Hello, beautiful people. This is David. David, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is David Vendetti, and I am a yoga teacher training, massage therapist, and I also work in the field of DEI, doing talks around courageous conversations and dismantling systemic racism, homophobia, transphobia, that kind of thing. I've been practicing yoga for over 30 years, and I've probably led something like 65, 70 teacher trainings in Europe, in the USA, and just, kind of all over the place. And I'm just really grateful to be here and to kind of like dive into your podcast and some of the reasons why you think it's essential to talk about these topics and to build this community. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I started to get to know you in 2020. So my mother signed up for one of your teacher trainings, and it's COVID time. So she's just in the living room and she's yelling very loud. On the other side, so I'm becoming highly concerned because I was like, this didn't sound like her last training. So then she like slams the computer and I go to check on her. I'm like, Mommy, what's going on? And she's like, I have this new yoga teacher. He's a white man and he has 2 husbands and a chicken named Bianca Del Rio, and I like him. And I was like, okay, so this is going to be a good time. And I think I was just always just hearing the residue of your conversations where I thought it was just interesting having conversations about identity as a yoga professional in these bigger groups. Did you always see yourself becoming a yoga teacher?
No. If you kind of think of stepping into the ocean, having the undertow pull you a little bit, I was just kind of walking in the ocean of life. And then I got pulled towards yoga. I actually went to school for dance and they rejected my first audition. And they were like, you are not flexible. You need more training. And so I heard flexibility. And so I purchased this. Hold on. I purchased this VHS. Is that what it was? Yeah, a VHS of Patricia Walden, who's a world famous yoga teacher, doing yoga for flexibility. And it gave me a great buzz when I did it. And so I kind of kept practicing yoga throughout school. And then once I graduated, I got the job that all dancers get, which is I waited tables. And I would fluctuate between waiting tables and taking yoga retreats or learning more about yoga and body work. And eventually I went to India for 5 months and got certified there. And I went back a couple times for meditation retreats. But the more I studied yoga, the more I became involved in this world of self-realization, self-discovery, self-examination. And it just really moved me on a profound level. And so that's kind of how the yoga world kind of took me. And then, of course, I was like, well, whatever this is, I would like everybody to have a piece of it. And so I started sharing it and teaching.
So at the beginning of your career, were you still dancing while you were doing yoga at the same time?
Yeah. I was doing like some small shows. They didn't pay a lot of money. I was also a Pilates instructor. So I was doing that, just trying to figure out where finances were going to come from. And eventually I made the leap to teaching. And in the beginning, I taught 30 classes a week at 7 different yoga studios because that was the only way I could make my rent. And then I started paring down once people got to know me better, and I developed a stronger teaching and a better following.
Thinking back now, 30 years of teaching yoga, practicing yoga, how do you think about yourself as an educator in this yoga space? When I think about yoga, like I remember when my mother first started teaching yoga, and my mother's a community activist, and she was doing these curvy pageants, and people were saying that she was promoting unhealthy behavior. And so her argument to that was, I'm going to do this exercise to prove that you can still do this exercise and still be curvy and things like that. And so watching my mother start yoga as just a personal practice and a really just big FU to other people, and then it turns into her teaching and in these different spaces and showing who she is, her difference in all these different ways, from the way she looks, the fact that my mother has a curvier body, the fact that she's tattooed and changes her hair every 2 seconds. When you started teaching, did you see yourself as this educator bigger than just the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a loaded question. I think that yes, because I never started teaching yoga really for money or for notoriety. I taught it because of how deeply it moved me and kind of changed me and strengthened me and made me calmer and more present in the world. And I thought, well, if I can help other people be calmer and more present in the world, then this is going to be a much cooler life than I originally thought. And then I also was fortunate to really get mixed into the meditation scene and this deeper awakening enlightenment scene. So I knew what it could do. And so I would just really create the safest, broadest space I could, where no matter where you were, what was going on with your day, you could come in and you could take class and feel seen and feel embodied and feel empowered, and then be given a tool that you could take out of class and maybe practice to continue that feeling throughout your week or in your interactions with other people. So I think, yes, there's always been something about me that's been a little bit different because I really care about people more than I care about anything else.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. And now, it isn't. The Chair. A black and brown centered platform where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new, joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hairboards made by people like you, for you, Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you, stress-free. Join the chair community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on the chair. We got you. No stress, no strife. In the chair. The chair. The chair. All right.
Because you care about people, do you think about how your identities impact how you teach?
I mean, unfortunately, in this country, yes, in many ways. A lot of times when I started teacher training, currently I like to say, hi, everybody, my name is David and I am white. Because it's very rare for somebody who is white to label it and say, that is what I am. And with that comes kind of a humility and a burning and a recognition of everything that has been unjust and unfair and the work that still needs to be done every day, all the time, for the rest of our lives to continue to, I don't know, I'm almost so saddened by the fact that I'm steeped in systemic racism. And that no matter what I do, every day there's going to be something I don't see that I miss, where it just comes through me. And so I see my whiteness as part of my identity and part of my teaching. I'm aware that people who have greater privilege in different ways, whether it's education or money or color or religion, that they will be given a step up. And I try to use that step up that I've been given to then step out of the way and let somebody else step in or speak louder. That's really been my journey, is to listen. I don't know. Do you know Leslie Salmon Jones?
No.
She teaches something called Afro Flow Yoga. She's absolutely beautiful, dynamic. She was with Alvin Ailey Dance Company. Her husband, Jeff, plays live drum accoutrement to her classes. And she really works hard to give back to women, especially to cultures where villages need to be rebuilt and women need to be empowered. And I had asked her to come into my training, and she said something that was very, very smart. She said, I don't need to come into your training. You need to come and see the work that I'm doing. My head cracked a little bit, and I was like, yes, I need to immerse myself in the worlds that I am less familiar with. I do.
I'm curious to know your thoughts, because you're aware of your whiteness and you have had so many years of experience, and you studied in India. What is your relationship with the conversation about cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation when it comes to yoga teachers?
For myself, I am so profoundly grateful to everything that came from India, because yoga as a science had started before, the physical practice of yoga had started before India. Not a lot of people really know this, but it was only about 150 years ago when India really mixed in this kind of vigorous physical practice, which they learned from Danish gymnastics and British military drills. A British military drill would be a burpee, which is kind of that push-up thing you do where you jump back. And that is a sun A in yoga. So there is other cultural influences that made the physical form of yoga what it is today. But India brought the depth of spirituality to it, the focus on the breath, the addition of meditation, the addition of self-examination, and, for me, paramount, self-realization. So I'm also aware of things like mixed martial arts that have added to it, physical therapy drills, mobility exercises, modern day movement patterning like somatics and kinesthesiology, that all of these are meant to be incorporated into evolving the practice. In every training, we do a deep dive into the history of yoga, and we look at the 4,000 years that came before what it is now. So I think when somebody is a yoga teacher, it's so important that you respect, honor, and give thanks to all the people that carried the method forward to where you are. And it really is a matter of integrity for me. Like, people are like, how can you chant in class? Like, sometimes I'll chant and I'll play the harmonium. I do it because I love it, and it's a part of who I am now. I feel so lucky to have been taught chants and learned to chant that people are like, oh, but you shouldn't because you're American. I'm like, no, I should because I'm dedicated, I'm devoted, and this moves me and means something to me. And I think if it's part of your being and you're doing with profound respect, you should keep it. But if you're doing it to make money based on somebody else's culture and you're not giving them dues, and I just think that's crazy, but also very much the American way sometimes.
I spend a lot of time thinking as an educator about a lot of first times. The first time a kid asked me a question that I didn't know the answer right away. Or the first time when I was living in China, I was teaching third grade. It was my first day of teaching my kids. And one of my kids said, Miss Dreme, did you immigrate from Africa to America? A casual first question, trying to explain slavery to a third grader who I just met 20 seconds ago wasn't really going well. And I spent a lot of time thinking about moments like that had me thinking about what my racial identity was highlighting for kids in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know, did you have a moment like that where you recognized that your whiteness was the beginning of your conversations when you were a yoga teacher?
Not so much in that way. I think I had an interesting upbringing because I went to school in New York for dance. The community that I grew up in was wildly diverse, mostly naked backstage changing costumes, lifting each other up in the air and sweating and working together. In that moment, I think my dance background really provided me with this sense of family. And I've always kind of carried that forward into whatever situation I've been in after school. But one of the things that really struck me that my friend asks us to examine in some of the work that I do is she'll ask a group of people, when was the first time that you realized that you were white? And usually it's like in a positive way when you were like, oh, I realized I was getting preferred treatment. And a lot of people who say, oh, I recognized I was white, they say I recognized it when I was 19 or 20 or older. And then the people of color, when you say, when did you first realize that you were Black? It's young and it's a negative. I realized it when somebody said, oh, you two can't play together, or all of the dolls are the wrong color, or whatever it is. And that just hit me so starkly to see that I've always been a part of this kind of culture of privilege to the point where I don't have to even wrestle with it. I know I can get my foot in most doors. And so when I finally realized that, I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to work my foot into most doors and then see if I can start to create and promote change in these spaces.
I have two questions that are like swimming in my mind. So your first thought of your recognition of whiteness came with dance and family. Is that the story that you tell when you think about the age you remember your whiteness?
I think I recognized my whiteness younger in school. I went to school at a place called Milton Academy.
I went to BBNN.
Okay. Then it's very white, but they also have a lot of people from other places that sometimes will come in. We had a couple people who were from Africa in class, and it was obvious. You were like, well, these are the two people that are different. And I thought that was strange that there were so few of them. And so I think that was kind of the first time. My mother was a teacher, and so she was always very embracing of everyone and everything. And I blame a lot of my overly caretaking helicopter parent qualities on my mother, but for good reason. I'm grateful. So I was super lucky. And I think I did realize probably when I was 6 or 7 that I was white and that was different than Black. I've just always been very angry and saddened that everybody isn't treated better. It just hurts my heart.
Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere, Captured Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show. Do you have that same intensity and feelings when it comes to your queerness? The visibility of it, the intensity of it, the privileges and non-privileges that come with that?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think, being a part of the queer community is a wild experience because you can be accepted and rejected at the same time.
Mm.
I was very much kind of accepted when I came out as gay. And then sort of when I leaned into meditation and not drinking, and the whole gay community was like, we don't want to talk to him. He's weird. And then they kind of accepted me back because I became very popular and I had big yoga classes and, he's amazing. And then I came out as poly. Oh, they're like, we don't know what to do with him again. So that's been an interesting ride. The other thing about the queer community is, for my generation, when I first came out, there were not a lot of role models who were older.
Okay.
Because those were people that had survived the AIDS epidemic.
Mm.
And if they had survived, many of them were alcoholic or depressed or reclusive. And sort of the only mention of gay people, I didn't even really know what it was growing up, was when you saw a movie and somebody died of AIDS. So that was very stark from this time now, where I feel like this generation is growing up just so accepting and open, and they don't even think about it. They're like, these are all my friends. I'm going to love because I love, and I think love is better than hate. And let's see where it takes us.
So how would you describe love?
Well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think when you think of love? Where does it take you?
For me, love tastes like cotton candy and M&Ms. Love smells like sunflowers and dandelions. It feels like my toes in the sand walking into the Indian Ocean. It's warm. It s'mores. That's what love is to me.
I mean, I don't think I need to really add to it. But I think that society has made love into something that's very weird and sort of sometimes binary. But it really isn't at all like that. Love is expansive. Love is all inclusive. Love for me is like the ground state of my being. It's the way in which I want to initiate my actions and words from that place of connection and love. And the more lifetime I put in, the more I see that there are such profoundly deep relationships that are caretaker relationships. There are such deep relationships that are friend relationships. There's such deep relationships that are spontaneous. You just meet somebody, and right there you have one of the most beautiful conversations, and you connect in a really profound human way. It doesn't have any limits, what I see when I look in other people's eyes, even if they don't connect to it.
So when you think about your identities as queer and poly, how do you describe that expansive love? I always think about when my mom says, I have so much love to give. My mom always had an open door policy in our house. Growing up, there was always people in our house who were sleeping on the floor, on the couch. You were just always walking over people. And I always remember when I was like in my early teens, and it was basically like a brother at the time. He came over and he was having a really hard time. He came out to his parents and they were Caribbean and didn't really accept him, and my mother just held him, and I watched that interaction. And after, my mother was like, I have so much love to give, and she would just say that over and over again. I think about that all the time, but when I meet people who are poly, they talk about it differently. I'm always curious when people who identify as poly, how do they see love?
Okay. Well, first of all, can I tell a cute story about your mom?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, when I first met your mother, people were like, she is a force to be reckoned with. She has a powerful voice. She's a strong woman. And they were like, look out. Because, just you are white and she will come for you. And I was like, I love that. I think my first response was, that's amazing. I don't have any guard up. I don't have any shields up. And I met your mother, and she talked about these curvy competitions that she did. And she talked about the way in which she supported the LGBTQ community.
Yep.
And she talked about how powerfully protective she was of her children. And it actually gets me like misty-eyed now. I knew in that moment that she would never let any harm come to me.
Yes.
Never. Like I'm like crying. And I felt safe. And that is such a rare feeling sometimes as a queer person to have, that I immediately adored her, and I knew I wanted to be a part of her world and her family forever, and to help her do this incredible work that she does. So that's like my first mom story. But in terms of polyamory, I do think many people have different ways of describing love. But for me, I really truly love people. I always say the love is a given, right? When I meet you, whether you're a stranger or a friend, the love is a given. I already love you. And then what we decide to do with it will dictate what happens next in our connection. Right? The love is a given. I'm here for you. Why would I give less than everything I have to anyone? That just seems wrong. When I first started our partnership, people were like, is there a relationship hierarchy? And I was like, you want me to tell one person that they're less meaningful than the other person? I'm not going to do that. Whoever is sick gets the soup. Whoever's family member is in the hospital gets the car ride. There's not a hierarchy. It's a whatever life circumstance is happening that demands the most attention. That's where your heart goes. That's where your attention goes. And so people also need to realize that everyone has a different form of polyamory. For me, I'm in a closed 3-person relationship. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to other people entering it, but it means that the 3 of us have made an agreement that we want to spend this time developing our connection, learning about each other for as long as we decide that that's appropriate for us, maybe forever. Or maybe one of us will say, hey, I really would love somebody to go out dancing with, and I know the 2 of you prefer video gaming to dancing. And we can say, okay, great. Does that look like an intimate partner for you? Does that look like a friend partner for you? And then we just navigate that situation, because I want everybody to have the best life that they can without any regrets. If my partner went to New York City and was like doing some kind of, one of my partners does hair and makeup, and he was out salsa dancing, and this absolutely gorgeous salsa instructor was dipping and flipping and like dancing all up on him, all pretty like. And the salsa dancer teacher said, can I kiss you? And he said, oh, no, I can't. I'm married. No. You'd be like, yes, yes. And then you come home and you tell me that amazing story about this beautiful night that you were swept up and it was in the moment and so beautiful,
When you think about being poly, what are the conversations you have with yourself about self-love and self-esteem?
Well, I think that being poly can really teach you to anchor into yourself more. And one of the things that I've learned just within the last year or so is more about attachment styles. Do you know a little bit about attachment styles?
Just the stuff I've read, but please educate me.
Okay, so the basics, and it can get more complicated, but basically an anxious attachment style is somebody that needs to check in and validate the connection in the relationship by talking to or texting the other people.
Okay.
Whereas somebody with an avoidant attachment style is somebody that likes to spend time alone, thinking about things on their own and processing on their own and then coming back. Somebody who is secure will do both. They'll say, I'd like to spend a little bit of time to myself. I need to do some work this evening. Is it okay if I check in with you around 9? All right. So they've got a little bit of both. They know how to be self-sustaining and they also know how to be connected. So in our relationship, I'm the anxious attacher. Just a little bit. I've got some good security too. So what I have learned is that it's important for me not to overmanage or stick my hand into my partner's business too much, but to step back and to do self-care and to do things on my own that make me happy by myself. Because if I am happy by myself, I am then happy in connection to others. And when you're in a poly relationship, you can lose yourself fast because there's so much going on.
Do you think that this is a constant conversation with yourself when it comes to these attachments and your self-worth in this space?
Yeah. I'm in my 50s now, and I feel like I'm still trying to figure it all out and probably always will. But I think the ultimate poly self-worth is to realize that even if you're single and poly, you're not with anybody, you are a miracle unto yourself. You are a gift of the universe. You are an incredible human being. You have so much to offer, and it is okay if it is not currently with another person. And so if you're with 10 people, your worth is not based on any one of those 10 people. Your worth is your own, and it is always, and it is eternal. And then you connect to other people.
I like that. I like how you put that. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about advice to future yoga teachers out there, what would be 3 pieces of advice you would have for them?
Just as teachers, or in terms of taking class, or in terms of teacher trainings that they might take? Or
yoga teachers, they've took some courses and they've decided, I want to teach. What would 3 pieces of advice be for them?
Like you were just talking about with self-care, don't lose yourself. Right? Don't lose yourself in the job. The yoga is such a powerful gift. Don't make it your full-time business without also doing your own meditation, your own nutrition, your own retreats where you take a retreat for yourself. You kind of keep your own education going. And you remember who you are deep inside of you. Who are you? Because deep inside, I'm like a little boy that loves to play with nature and to help other people see the heart of who they are. And you just have to remember that rather than getting wrapped up in the game and the hustle of trying to accomplish things and be seen. That would be one. The second one would be to make sure that you're doing the work to decolonize yoga, to deconstruct systemic racism, and to look at cultural appropriation, and to not be afraid to talk about that in an open space. I think a lot of teachers are like, oh, I can't mention what's going on in politics right now. If you don't talk about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, your Russian-Ukraine students will be alienated. If you don't talk about what's going on in our government right now, the people who are anxious and nervous and feel abandoned and uncertain of what the future holds will not have any safe space. If somebody is shot and you don't talk about it, and you see some of your students may identify with the person or the people that have been hurt, like let's say it was like the Pulse nightclub shooting, you've missed an opportunity to tell the people in your class, I see you. So that's really important. And I mean, there's probably like 2 more, but to create a community in your class, what you can do is at the beginning of a class, rather than asking people what their injuries are, something like that, you can say, tell me one word that represents where you are today, or tell me one word that represents love to you. And the students will say one word, and it happens very quickly. And then you can use some of those words to describe poses and metaphors and anchoring at the end of class. You can pull pieces of what other people have added. And that creates more of a feeling of we're in this together rather than I am the teacher and you are the student. We're all building this together. And then I would say, lastly, is if you are going to teach yoga, there is something that is very important about knowing anatomy and knowing what kind of sequencing helps lower backs feel better and helps shoulder girdles be stable. Because too much of the time we're trying to get more and more flexible and we end up destabilizing. But to really put some time into, why am I teaching this sequence? What parts of the body is it supporting? Are my students leaving class aligned, strong, and with a full range of motion?
Well, David, thank you so much for sitting in the chair and sharing your stories. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you absolutely so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. I'm always willing to talk more with you.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I, of course, would love your continued support. Let me know what you think of this episode by doing all the things. Subscribe, comment, and come back next week, every week. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day. Or if you are like me, enjoy that moonlight and that 1 star under all your city lights. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
We support her. Shit.
Do your...
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story. we share.